Well, hello. My name is Sheila Atchley. I am an artist and a pastor's wife. Words are a big part of my art form. You could say words are my life. I decorate my whole world with words. But interestingly enough, on this particular journal page, I don't think I use any words at all, but here I am sitting doing a voiceover using many, many words. After a coaching call today, I sit down to do the voiceover for this video, and I really have a scripture just dominating my thinking lately, and it's the scripture, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will keep your paths straight. Now, as an aside here, talking about what I'm doing here on the journaling page, that I took a slate blue color, and that was mixed from a Golden's Payne's Gray and a Naples Yellow mixed together. That was the first layer, that dark layer. The next layer you see is the same paint mix of the Payne's Gray and the Naples Yellow mixed with a little bit of white gesso to lighten the color. And just applied that with a rubber scraper that I have, then a little bit of pink paint dotted on and blended. And now you see gesso being used to block out the form of the girl that I want to paint on this page. Anyway, getting back to trusting in the Lord, I don't know about you, but there have been so many times in my life I've just felt like a jumble of misplaced colors, just a jumble of shapes, sometimes not even a discernible pattern. Here in this form that I'm blocking in with gesso, if you didn't know that I was about to paint the form of a girl, you may not be able to tell at all what it is the artist is up to, but the thing I want to promise you is that God sees the end from the beginning, and He sees the finished product that He's up to in your life. I promise it's a masterpiece. He isn't mixed up about your middle in the way we tend to get mixed up about our middles. So wherever you are in your journey, the Lord isn't confused, and He isn't bored with the project. Sometimes I get bored with an art project and I just want to throw it against the wall. Thank God He is not like me. He's not an artist like I am an artist. He is the original artist, the perfect artist, the ultimate artist. And He is not frustrated with all the different colors and the shapes and the forms and the pieces of your days. He's determined to finish what He began. The only catch is He does tend to do it one day at a time. But there will come a day when all the isolated, kind of mixed up pieces of your life, the things that are happening that maybe have no explanation right now, there'll come a day when those things begin to form a discernible pattern. Even for you, even for me. For example, when you look at this journal page now, you can see the eyes, you can see the nose, you can see the mouth, you see the direction now that I'm taking. So it's the same for your life. Everything will come together. Promise, promise. Just, again, trust the Lord with all your heart and don't lean on your own understanding. All right, here what you're seeing is I sketched in the face using a Stabilo art pencil, and then I'm coming back over that with just a small brush, old scraggly paintbrush, and I put some water in that palette that you see there, that porcelain palette. It has just a little bit of water in it, and I'll go into that water occasionally, and that gives you the ability to move your marks around. If you use a Stabilo art pencil, or if you use, for example, a water-soluble graphite pencil, then you'll be able to go in with a paintbrush dipped in a little bit of water, and you'll be able to move your marks around. And that is what you're seeing here. And here's a little bit of golden paint. I like to go in with unusual colors sometimes for my darks and for my midtones. I think that is a quinacridone nickel azo yellow, I think. And there's no rhyme or reason to it at this point. Just kind of going in with that color and blocking out just a few midtones or even a few shadows. I will also, for the deepest darks, I'll often go in with more Payne's Gray and block in the deepest, darkest shadows. And that's what you're seeing here. I really do believe, though, that the Lord has sent me to tell you, even though you're watching an art video, the Lord sent me to tell you that the glorious good news for you is that the God of the universe actually wants to make straight paths for your feet. Scripture in Proverbs, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. Right now is a good time to bring this up to you because we're in the middle of an election cycle. This is an election year. And anytime you see these top-tier candidates that are running for the office of the president, everywhere they go, if you'll notice, their paths are made straight. Obstacles are removed. And a lot of times, regardless of what we think about it, money is no object. The money spent for these men to travel and campaign just blows my mind. So money's no object. Every detail is planned in advance of their coming. There's security in place. There are people watching and guarding these men, thankfully. A lot of times, if you'll look, there's even a red carpet. Sometimes there are even flower arrangements that are just perfectly placed, even for just a 10-minute stump speech. There's always a glass of water in perfect position, and it's all done ahead of the game, ahead of the time that the presidential candidate is due to arrive to make his speech. Transportation to the next place is all planned out in great detail, often days before a scheduled event. So think about it in those terms. The path of these candidates is made straight for them. So to me, it's just mind-blowing that the God of the universe says here, if we'll acknowledge Him in all of our ways, if we trust in the Lord with all of our heart, we don't lean on our own understanding, and we acknowledge Him in all our ways, He promises to make our path straight. Now that's just crazy. Unbelievably good and glorious news. All right. I tend to bounce back and forth between pulling out my darks and pulling out my lights and then blending in midtones. It doesn't matter how many times I paint a face, that ends up, I'm not even going to call it a fight anymore. It's just part of the process, pushing and pulling between the darks and the lights and then laying down the midtones. Personally, my style is one that I like my very last top layer to have a very unblended look. But right now I am just working up to that point where I can begin to just put in the paint strokes on the very top.